training.
Okay.
All right.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so this is the City Council meeting, January 23rd, 2024. Announcement of Open Meeting Act, which we have published on the wall over there. Call to order and a roll call.
Stuart Gracey.
Here.
Shane Sweet.
Here.
Carl Warford.
Here.
Ryan Diaz.
Here.
Chris Rappel.
Here.
Patrick Nichols.
Here. We have no proclamations. Audience comments on items not listed on the agenda. We have no audience. Not present. Department head reports. Police Chief Joe.
All right. Well, we don't have much to add really other than the report I think Christina sent out. That was kind of our stats. You know, it seemed pretty consistent with what's been the previous year. As far as like training, we got our end of year training done, so we avoid state fines by getting all of our continuing ed in. We sent an officer. He's going to be in help do some instructing through the TAP program earlier this year. Well, actually the second week of the year. He went through it. We're going to start doing like more monthly training, probably similar to like the fire do, so the firemen do. So we get everybody's training, make sure we get everybody's training done on time. We did get some new rifles. Those rifles came in, requested for a little bit there. We lost an officer, so we shouldn't affect our budget much because we lost an officer to Lincoln PD. So we're down one officer, so we should be able to make up the cost of those rifles pretty quick. But just so you know, I'm gonna be like, why do we need these rifles and stuff? Just, you know, we did have like 3, I think, threats of people, active shooter type threats, or you know, in the year or since the last quarter. So they are out there sometimes, you know, people with mental health problems and issues and stuff. They're all resolved. I don't think there's any threat out there right now, but it is good that we have that stuff. I did see recently some agencies getting sued because they didn't have proper equipment and stuff. So it's kind of a good purchase, I think, overall. Do you guys got anything specific for me?
Question I guess I have, you said about the rifle, stuff like that, is there other equipment that's needed for, you know, say, threats and things of that nature?
A barricade, the only thing I'd say is some shields. You know, you know what I mean by a shield. We don't have that. We were hoping to get it on a grant. We put in for a grant for it, and we didn't get it approved on it. We just kind of found out here a while back.
What is the cost of those roughly?
They're about $3,000 for one with a light. And if you don't have a light, they are difficult to maneuver with. So, we'll see that.
So how many rifles did we get? In
2.
2? And will we have training for that?
Yep. The officers are trained on it. We did training on it with we had some old rifles. They're out of date. They didn't really have lights and they didn't have optics and things like that, like the newer ones do. So we got that stuff coming in with it. And they were pretty dated. So I think they were like Vietnam era stuff a little bit. But and they don't work good at night. They become more of a hindrance without when you're operating at nights, because now you got a weapon that you really can't see with that's big and bulky and stuff. If you ever tried to run and operate a light with a rifle, it's not a fun operation.
You need an extra hand.
Yeah, yeah.
I suppose you're pretty busy with the snow.
That's a good thing. I should talk about that a little bit. Yeah. Were we busy? Well, we had officers get stuck here. You know, they didn't make it home. Officers, I think I got stuck here in the second snow. Spent the night here, but they really stepped up and did a great job. You know, maintaining and getting in here. Some of them were driving down around taking I-80 coming north on 77. Some of them had to go around the same route to get home back to David City, because 92 going west was really bad too. So, yeah, they did a great job. They did a great job. So, and I did check, I think, there were some people kind of upset because we didn't allow any off-street parking. People were calling in, and I know, I think some of the dispatchers had, earful when we said, no, we're not approving off-street parking, and stuff, but people did clear out downtown and things like that, so it went pretty good. And, Joe and his guys did a great job, I thought, so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
Yeah.
And City Administrator Melissa.
Well, I don't have any written report this evening, but I do want to comment a little bit on the snow removal. I want to get a shout out to our crews. I think they did a great job. That being said, we have a crew that's almost entirely new in terms of handling a snow situation like this, including Joe. Even though Joe's been here over 2 years, we have not had an event like this. So there's things that they're learning, there's equipment that they're learning, and we are going to have a kind of an analysis of how the situation was, how the snow was handled, and maybe, celebrate the things that we did well, and then take a look at the things that we could do better in the future. So I know we got a lot of the standard complaints. You plowed snow into my driveway. Well, that can't be avoided. Our job, our street crew job, is to push the snow from curb to curb to make the driving surface safe and for people to drive on. So there's been some challenges. There's been some frustrations, but all in all, I think that they did a good job. And if you hear positive comments, we always like to hear those. If you have constructive criticisms, those are good also. So I'd like to.
I only had one person complain a little bit. On 12th Street is Broadway, Linden, and Beach. The corners were all pushed back nicely, so it's easy to turn. But Elm, Orange, and Pine, they were squared off and had that, so you had the smaller area to turn into.
Sure.
And they were complaining because if you're trying to turn right, headed south, they had to wait till there was no eastbound traffic because they had to swing out like a semi to get into the other lane.
And now part of that might have been, we do have a snow removal plan where I think Broadway, Linden, and maybe Beach are all first clean routes and
Yes, but I'm saying the intersection of 12th only is the only corners I was talking about. I don't mind any other intersection touched, but I think all the ones on 12th Street should be pushed back because a lot of people coming out of the neighborhood turning.
I don't disagree with that, but was that a comment that you received just recently, or was it fairly early on?
No, it was more towards the end.
Okay.
After the fact.
And so, right, there's
it's
things
just
like
those 3 streets. That's it. That's the only one I had.
things like that, and then communication. I think that maybe we could do a better job of communicating. This is what we're going to do, so the public has an expectation of what we're going to do, and there's not as much gray area. I know Joe's definitely, his goal is to treat everyone fairly and equitably. So, if we don't want to hear someone say, well, someone stopped and plowed this person's driveway, or why did that alley get plowed first? We have a system and a process, and we want to make sure we're following that. So.
And we will eventually get to alleys when we have time.
Right, and that's part of our snow removal plan. We have emergency routes, then we have the next, business and school routes, then we have the side streets, and then we have the alleys, and then we have the trail. And so we have that established. We have the minimum snow amount established. In our snow removal plan, we have the authority to tow a vehicle if it's in the way, and we have that established. But I think it's a matter of communicating that to the public. I did a lot of looking on some other communities' websites, and they have all these questions. My mailbox was hit, right? Which is going to be something maybe we need to talk about a little bit, how we're going to handle those. But, snow was pushed into my driveway. Why? And all of those questions that people can just turn to, a frequently asked questions page, and their questions can be answered. So I also reminded Joe that in this kind of situation, you're never going to make 100% of the people happy. So if you can go home at the end of the day knowing that you were fair and that you worked your hardest, that's really all that we can ask for.
In addition to having a new crew who hasn't seen this kind of snow, I think a lot of residents forgot how difficult it is with this kind of snow to have it clear to begin with.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we haven't had it plowed into our driveways because there hasn't been enough to have that be a problem. But if
one
you've
after
been here
another, another.
Right. You used to get snow like this all the time, so you expect that, you understand it. So I just don't, it's strange to me that people question. I'm like, oh, that's how it is when it snows like this. It's got to go somewhere. I mean, the snow doesn't disappear. We don't melt it. Nobody's out there with a torch just melting it down. So.
Well, thankfully, all the snows other than the first one were really dry.
Yeah.
You could at least move it and manage it. But.
And I didn't remember it's 24 hours to clear your sidewalk.
Yeah, that's what the municipal code says.
Is that after the snow operations on the majors, like the emergency routes?
For cleaning
Or is it
sidewalks?
after the snow stops?
After the snow stops. It's 24 hours.
I was just curious, because I know what we follow where I work, it's 24 hours after the major streets have been declared done.
Okay.
So like,
I think ours
that way
says
Joe
24
can
hours.
say exactly, okay, we're done here, and we know we've got 24 hours from that time.
I think it's 24 hours after the event stops, but I would pull up, you can pull up code and it's very specific about.
I'm going to assume we haven't sent out a single letter over this snow. I mean, it's deep enough. There's a lot of people that just can't get through it right now either. I mean,
It's actually, most things are pretty clear.
Yeah.
Well, most of them are, but I think I can think of one business in particular that I know that hasn't been cleared. The sidewalk in front of the business hasn't cleared, but also there's an 8-foot pile at the end of that sidewalk, and I'd be curious to see how anybody gets through that pile to actually clear the sidewalk, because that's where all the snow ends up again. Because the sidewalk's really close to the street, you just got piled up there. Like, I don't know how you clear that.
I will say this was, for the heads up you gave for Heritage Heights and, Joe Bennington from Curve and going back in, I posted that on the Heritage Heights board, and almost all the feedback that came back around was positive. So, when you're talking about educating people and letting people know, I think that you're
He was really concerned with that area because you have, almost every home has a 3-stall, if not larger. You have essentially a basketball court in front of your house, right? And so a lot of that snow was kind of piled around the edges out into the street. And
Yeah, and letting people know they can't throw their snow back out in the street. That's also, I mean,
Should be. That's a good reminder.
Though.
and then the plow comes along, pushes it right back into your driveway anyway, and then you're mad about it, you throw it back out in the street.
And I saw the post that they talked about how you dig out the left side of your driveway or whatever, the side of your driveway, so that way they can all dump there hopefully
in
before.
theory, yeah.
It should, but it doesn't work very well.
Well, it's better than not doing it.
Yes.
I'll tell you that, because I was like, since it was light, I just took my snowblower, kept going right down the gutter of the street, and made it a little more manageable.
Yeah, but again, I think we're gonna sit down and have a conversation about what we did well and what needs to be improved.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know if you had intentions of first responders, fire, or police in that conversation, but I would love to have representation there.
Yes, we did talk a little bit about that at our department head meeting last Thursday. And again, I think there's just some changes that have happened in the last year that maybe all didn't get settled out. So it was never anyone's intention for that to not be addressed.
And not just the fire station. I mean, yes, we know we had a problem there. We drifted over pretty majorly there in front of the station that never got cleared up. But I would love to get a radio to Joe or somebody that has access to our emergency channel.
Yeah.
So that we can call and say, hey, when they hear us calling around and trying to find a city plow, instead of getting a hold of dispatch and dispatch trying to call out and find somebody to do it, if we could just get a radio in one of those vehicles, at least one mobile radio for those guys, so they can pay attention to what's going on. That'll help us get. There's a rescue call or there's a fire call. We know the fire trucks are going to be going this way. Let's start getting that cleared out and see if we can help them out. It'd be nice if they had a heads up on that.
good.
I looked up code. Businesses have 5 hours after the end of the storm, and residential is 24 hours.
Let's go like that. Nobody's eating.
Yeah.
Not with that cold temperatures.
Right, you couldn't get out there.
The repercussions are on send them a letter.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
most-
I was saying, when the wind quit blowing like 40 mile an hour,
Yeah, I was
that's the
gonna
end of
say,
the
what do you consider the next storm?
Yeah.
4 o'clock Friday, or when
Yeah.
the wind stopped blowing on Sunday?
All right, moving on, the consent agenda. We have the acceptance of the excused absences, we have approval of the city council minutes, acceptance of minutes from the library board, approval of Caleb Grundman as volunteer firefighter, and approval of changes to pay grade for Parks and Rec, and approval of claims. Now, the approval for pay grade, that's sort of a consent item, or would that be a separate? But anyway, I guess that's on our consent agenda, so I took a look at it. It seemed to be understandable.
Yeah, and I think we'll, from the conversations I had with Kevin, we're probably going to see that happen every year, that the minimum wage continues to go up.
Yes,
Right.
that was seasonal.
Yeah.
And then we had approval of claims, and I don't know if anybody looked at them close, but I do look at them. We had a couple questions. Got my answers. Do we have any other items on the consent?
It would be an excused absence of Jerry.
I motion to approve consent agenda. I'll second.
Roll call.
Warford,
Yes.
Ideas?
Yes.
Nagel?
Yes.
Raffle?
Yes.
Sweet?
Yes.
Creation?
Yes. We have action items not requiring a public hearing. First reading of an ordinance number 2448 to provide for annexation of 2.22 acres located adjacent to Wilmer Bridge. And your map did help me understand.
So if you want to click on actually the second document that's attached. So in this picture, north is to my right. You can see the trail along the left-hand side of that image that comes along out of Cooks Park, crosses the bridge, and then where you see the gray path there, that will be the trail that will connect along the east side of the Wilmer Ridge subdivision, and then up to 23rd Street, and then tie into the 23rd Street sidewalk that goes all the way over to the school. Originally, this was not something that was part of the plan, but as I got in there and looked at the stormwater drainage and the condition of the property, where you see the drainage pipes that are going to be installed there, they just decided that JEO decided that for the good of everyone, if we can acquire this property, which they took on and added it, the process will be annexing it into the city. Once we have that done, then we will do a lot combination, because this will be part of the drainage basin that we will ultimately have ownership of, and where the trail is, and then it will be within city limits.
So that's like a retention or detention or whatever you want to call it, and then it'll drain into the creek. That looks like a pretty massive structure like that. Or whatever, something to slow it down.
And we're annexing this property, well, we're just annexing it. We're not.
Yeah,
we're not-
correct. JO
we're not taking it over.
Wilmer Ridge owns it. They bought it.
Yes.
But I'm not, sorry, I was confused at first. I was thinking of the other one where we would own it. We don't own this. We wouldn't own this land. We're just considering it part of city limits. But
We currently do not, but we will.
Drainage.
okay.
We'll do the drainage and where the trails
We'll
located.
take it over for the maintenance of the park.
Yes.
Okay.
We would merge it into part of Wilma Bridge drainage way. There may be some of that is just a deed transfer. I don't know, we haven't talked about exactly the specifics of that, how far we want to take that.
What's nice is there's a lot of trails going on there, they're tying it in, so it makes sense for us to have some control of it. And we got drainage with no houses by it. That's really nice too.
And no houses to be by it, right? So to annex, it takes 3 readings, and this would be if you're so inclined, approval of first reading of this ordinance. We are working on the actual ordinance, but the legal description would be the boundaries that are shown in this image in 2.2 acres.
So we're really looking for an introduction to an ordinance, but
And approval
really
of first reading.
of a first reading.
Yep.
I make a motion on this.
I'll second that.
Warford,
Yes.
Raffle.
Yes.
Sweet,
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Ideas.
Yes.
Creature.
Yes. So then we have several ordinances here in a row that really to me look very interesting, but there's no emergency way through readings, is there? I mean, we can do whatever first reading.
These ordinances are a result of action that was taken by the legislature last year. So we subscribe to code updates through American Legal Publishing, and they provided Christina with a list. We reviewed them with the attorneys, and these are the ordinances that came from their packet that would impact our municipal code. So the first one relating to property tax request, that's something we're already following because the state budget documents require us to do that. It's the same with the second ordinance. So that process is something, like, again, we are already following. It's a matter of getting our municipal code up to speed with what the state law says. The fourth and fifth one, I apologize.
This one's relating to ordinances and resolutions.
So are this ordinance of passage of an ordinance?
Yes.
Okay.
And the other one relates to powers and duties of the mayor, which, this is something that they have talked about, I don't know, over the last 3 years, and it seems like they're tweaking it here and tweaking it there. And so hopefully this, I don't think there's anything on this 2024's legislative agenda addressing powers and duties of the mayor, but it's more about, it's about when they can vote and when they can't vote. And they're all in compliance with state law, which is what we're wanting to do.
So all of these are basically just bringing us into compliance. It's
Municipal
not like we're gonna
code.
have a choice anyway. This is all stuff we're gonna have to do.
Yeah, we need to clean it up. I mean,
We're
whether or
just
not we have an
gonna
ordinance
follow it.
required to follow that.
So the procedure would be a separate motion for each introduction, and then whatever we choose to do after that. Well, like I said, I don't think there's any hurry we can let the body digest all these and do them every other meeting if we want, or enjoy them all.
Yeah, to me, I mean, if it's stuff that has to be approved, I don't see any point in continuing to revisit it every time. If it was stuff that we could discuss, and like, I don't know if I wanna do that, fine, but we don't have any choice, and just get them off the docket and not deal with it every week, so. I would make a motion, so what do we have first? 2449?
Yes.
Alright, so I make a motion to, introduce 2449.
I'll second.
I'll make a motion to waive the readings.
And I'll second.
Roll call.
Warford,
Yes.
Ideas.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Raffle.
Yes.
Creachy.
Yes.
Warford,
Yes.
Ideas.
Yes.
Because it was for the waiver. I know.
Gotcha.
Creachy.
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Raffle.
Yes.
Sweet.
Then we have ordinance 2450.
Motion to introduce ordinance 2450.
I'll second that one too.
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
I'll second that as well.
Hang on one second. Moving faster than my.
Roll
I think
call.
you just did overshoot on these things. Yes.
Warford. Ideas.
Yes.
Creachy.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
Nagel.
Yes.
Raffle.
Yes.
Warford.
Yes.
Ideas.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
Raffle.
Yes.
Nagel.
Yes.
Creachy.
Yes.
Motion to introduce ordinance 24511.
I'll second.
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Warford.
Yes.
Ideas.
Yes.
Creachy.
Yes.
Raffle.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
Nagel.
Yes.
Warford.
Yes.
Ideas.
Yes.
Nagel.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
Raffle.
Yes.
Creachy.
Yes. The last ordinance.
Motion to introduce ordinance 2452.
Second.
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Warford.
Yes.
Ideas.
Yes.
Creachy.
Yes.
Nagel.
Yes.
Raffle.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
Warford.
Yes.
Ideas.
Yes.
Nagel.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah. A little bit.
Gracie,
Yes.
Rapp.
Yes.
Process.
Before we go with additional funsies.
Throw it in there. You really throw me off.
We got a lot out of the way. All right, now, moving on. Approval of certified list of volunteer members who met qualifications for the Volunteer Emergency Responders Incentive Act for 2023. So we have an attachment, and
So LB 886 was approved several years ago, and this gives any volunteer responder who qualifies by meeting at least 50 points, and there's a point system that's established, a $250 tax credit. And so if you approve this list, then we have a official document that we send to them for them to retain their tax records. I was told by our fire chief that we are one of the few departments that actually does the tracking of the number of hours, and we are one of the top supporters of this program. So I think that speaks highly of the professionalism that we have in our department. They take this pretty seriously because there are some requirements. Posting halfway through the year so members know what status they're at, et cetera. So if you're so inclined to accept this list and approve it, then we would send out the notices to the individuals.
the list was attached.
Yep.
Yeah, it
There it
is.
is.
This isn't complete, but I don't think you guys need to know the last four of their social security numbers. So.
No.
I'd make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
And a motion in a second. Roll call.
Ideas?
Yes.
Sweet?
Yes.
Gracie,
Yes.
Rappel,
Yes.
Warford,
Abstain.
Nagel.
Yes.
Alrighty, what we have next?
Liquor license.
This is the final liquor license for
Fish fry.
Yeah, so we've got approval of request for special designated liquor license submitted by Karen Spirits.
Oh, so she just runs the last one for the fish fry.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Roll call.
Ideas?
Yes.
Nagel.
Yes.
Warford,
Yes.
Gracie,
Yes.
Rappel,
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
Now we can move on to closed session.
So my recommendation here would be to go to closed session for protection of public interest as a result of pending litigation, to invite within that closed session at least Melissa and myself to participate if you're so inclined.
Go ahead, Carl.
Make a motion to get into closed session for the protection of public interest due to pending litigation. I'd like to invite Joe and Melissa.
Second.
And a motion in a second. Roll call.
Warford,
Yes.
Nagel.
Yes.
Ideas?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
Rappel,
Yes.
Gracie.
Yes. Alrighty.
Can you just state for
Did
the
you-
record that we are
Thank you,
going into closed session?
Yes, okay, we are going into closed session for the record, for the protection of public interest. So we're good.
Then do shut the.
Now we can unplug.
That's always my job.
Stop streaming.
Stop recording. Yeah, and then stop recording. Oh yeah. Click on the yes.